Alrighty, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Everybody knows that in order to be good at Minecraft, you have to click fast.
Oh my god! No!
To get into the business of clicking fast in Minecraft, it is pretty widely agreed upon that you need to buy a better mouse, you need to buy your way into faster clicking. It's sort of a very pay-to-win system, right? Wait, no, that's not right. That can't be right, because my journey started in 2020 when I first came onto Minecraft Java Edition as a Bedrock player. Now, of course, I wasn't playing 1.8.9 PvP. I was going into survival Minecraft on the newest version, which was 1.16. In versions 1.9 plus in Minecraft, you really don't need to have high CPS. That's generally the consensus. So that's how I started off playing Minecraft Java Edition, was on that game mode. So I didn't really think too much about clicking fast. So I just learned how to use a mouse. Because before that, I had only ever used a tablet to play Minecraft, or an iPad, or a phone. Using a mouse to play Minecraft was its own separate thing. As you guys might know, on Java Edition you have a crosshair, and whenever you click, whenever you place blocks, it's always on the center of your screen. Whereas on an iPad, on a tablet, on a phone, you can tap and place it wherever you want. So to me, it was a novel thing, using this mouse to click accurately on a block and create blocks in the right place. But eventually, when I was building houses, I was building up walls, I decided, hey, it would be easier if I could place blocks faster. So you know what I did? I physically clicked faster. That's not where my clicking journey ends, obviously, because I eventually moved on to minigame servers, such as Hypixel. Now, at first, I still used 1.16 on Hypixel, because I didn't really know any better. I'd been told that 1.8 was better, I didn't understand why, I didn't see the benefits of using it. So I went on 1.8 on Hypixel, and learned about speed bridging, about ninja bridging, about placing blocks, about all of these things, all of these skills that people used. And I started watching YouTubers like Montclair Bear, Dugile, Bedless Noob. All of these people are drag clickers. Now, in order to do what these YouTubers did, you had to have high CPS. So that's what I started to learn, was that high CPS meant you're better at the game. There wasn't really much space for me to use this knowledge. I tried to research different ways to get higher CPS on things that I could do. At this point in time, I had recently gotten a new mouse, and in my mind, it was some knockoff Chinese, mouse that doesn't click fast. It's not a sort of mouse that would double click. In my mind, this is all it was. It's just some regular old mouse. It's not something that you can do all these special things with. So my mind was centered with these clicking methods that physically rely on you clicking faster, not butterfly clicking, double clicking, drag clicking. These were out of my head because I thought there was no way in hell that my mouse would be able to do this. The clicking method that I turned to for my Hypixel experience was this new novel idea that I had just researched called jitter clicking. Now basically what jitter clicking is you tense your forearm. If you clench your muscles hard enough, it can cause your fingers, your hand, to actually physically jitter, to move back and forth. Then, if you bring your jittering hand to a mouse, it ends up causing it to click somewhat fast. And to me, as a person who had previously been single-clicking 7 CPS, maybe 9 on a good day, doing this jitter clicking thing that finally got me into the double digits was insane. I was ecstatic because to me, this signified bigger number, better person. I had learned how to click faster, which meant that I would get better at Bed Wars. Eventually, I stopped playing Bed Wars. I got off of Hypixel, and I went on to bedwarspractice.club, the server that I currently play on. The game mode that I started playing on was Block Sumo Duels. Now, Block Sumo Duels often relies on you block clutching, relies on you bridging, relies on you doing a lot of these things that you might need high CPS with. And I was confident. I was here jitter clicking 10 to 12 CPS. It was amazing. I was doing great. And eventually, yes, I did start getting better at the game. I started getting pretty decent at block sumo duels. So to me, my high CPS was what had brought me to this conclusion, was what had brought me to this idea that I was getting good at the game. But I was still confined by the idea that my mouse, my crappy Chinese mouse, didn't double click. It didn't do all of these special fancy things that everybody else's mice do. That was what was going on in my head. Now, of course, I never tested it. I'd never learned how to drag click, so I was never able to figure out physically whether or not mine could. This was all in my mind. There's just assumptions that I made about the mouse that I had. So it was just a major roadblock that was completely mental. There was no proof of this roadblock. There was no physical evidence that this roadblock, this thing that was blocking my path, actually existed. Fast forward to maybe a few months ago. I was playing block sumo duels and I met this person named Hunter's Double O Gauge. And eventually we got into a Discord call and we became fast friends. Hunter and I ended up playing a lot of block sumo duels together over the next few months, and I ended up improving my jitter clicking so well that I was getting an average of 13 CPS with the highest of 14 CPS, which that is really good for jitter clicking. That is actually insane for jitter clicking. And the reason I was able to get this good was because I was dedicated to learning how to click faster. I was dedicated to working on this, to improving. But I also believed that I was not able to do any other method. So I was dedicated, I was hardworking, but I was also stuck with this one method, jitter clicking. And so that's how I improved so well on that I became one of, the fastest jitter clickers out there. Like, it's generally considered fast jitter clicking if you can get 14 CPS, which I was able to reach. Hunter and I talked at one point, and he said, hey, I butterfly click. And I said, hey, I jitter click. And he was like, what? Why? Why would anybody jitter click? It just made no sense. And my response was because, well, my mouse doesn't butterfly click. And he was like, what do you mean? Your mouse does butterfly click. You just have to click fast. Even if your mouse does not register double clicks, butterfly clicking is still the equivalent of, if you're really good at it, 2 times your normal clicking speed. So if I was normal clicking 7 CPS, theoretically I should be able to butterfly 14 CPS according to him. And I was like, wait, no, that makes sense. After all of this time, all it took was one conversation with this random person, Hunter's Double O Gauge, that I met on Block Sumo Duels, to tell me that clicking twice as fast gives you twice the amount of CPS. And I was like, hey, this is actually something that could work. So guess what? I decided I am not going to jitter click ever again. I started butterfly clicking, and it was really bad. I got 10 CPS, worse than my jitter clicking. I thought about relapsing, but I didn't. I kept working hard. I trained my fingers, and eventually I found myself to be butterfly clicking on every surface possible, at every time of the day, in the middle of school, on my desk, butterfly clicking. Literally, random times, on my own finger, just fidgeting, butterfly clicking. So then at one point when I got back, I decided to click one single time. And guess what? It double clicked. What this means is that my mouse, from one click, had registered 2 presses of the mouse switch. Now, how this works is that some mice, when you press the button, it'll cause a vibration in the actual button, which will cause it to go up and down and press the mouse switch a few times. Most mice have something called debounce time, which means that it'll only register a certain number of clicks per second. Debounce time is essentially made to stop double clicking. It is made to make it so that it's not going to register when the mouse bounces up and down. It's not going to register that vibration as multiple clicks. And most mice have a debounce time that is pretty high. No matter how well you cause the vibrations to bounce up and down, it'll only register 1 because that's how it's physically manufactured. But I had used my mouse, I had jitter clicked it, I had butterfly clicked it for so long that this Chinese knockoff gaming mouse
Boy!
had started to double click. And this was mind blowing for me because I had thought there's no way that my mouse is going to compare with anybody else's because I had bought this 2 years ago just because I'd seen the word gaming mouse in the name and I'd seen the side buttons and I was like, hey, that looks like what I might need in order to be an MLG Minecraft player. I hadn't thought about all of these special things that these gaming mice do. And so I had assumed that mine couldn't. And when I learned that mine could, it was new horizons for me. So I kept working on butterfly clicking. I kept clicking faster and faster. I kept trying to implement double clicks into that, and it started working. I started getting an average of 14 CPS, an average of 15 on a good day, 16 on a good day. I hit a high of 17 at one point. I hit a high of 18 CPS at one point. I hit a high, finally, of 21. I had surpassed the 20 CPS barrier, and in my mind, this was insane. On this mouse that was not meant to work like this, I had surpassed 21 CPS. And that was kind of a cap for me. I just assumed that there was nothing else I could do. Because my mouse obviously doesn't drag click, right? Obviously, butterfly clicking is the best I can do. It double clicks sometimes, sure. But butterfly clicking relies on you physically clicking fast. There's no way my mouse drag clicks. First of all, it doesn't have the right texture. Second of all, it has a high debounce time. It won't measure that. But then, I realized, hey, if my mouse can double click, surely it can also drag click. So I brought my mouse to school one day, and I was just fidgeting with it at one point, and my friend came up to me, and he was like, hey, does your mouse drag click? And I was like, no, obviously not. And he was like, well, all mice drag click. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah. So I handed him my mouse, and he drag clicked it first try. And I have never been so happy to hear the sound of a finger hitting a surface so many times in 1 second. Please teach me how to drag click. Please teach me how you do it. I don't understand. And he was like, it's simple. You just drag your finger along the button and it presses really fast. So he grabbed my hand and he put it over the mouse button and he drag clicked for me. That moment was the best thing in my life because I had just drag clicked. I had done it. He had proven to me that this mental blockage I'd had in my mind for so long, for months, this mental blockage was completely false, was based off of no evidence, based off of nothing, completely mental. He had proven to me that I had been the only reason that I couldn't do this in the past. And normally that would have made me a little disappointed in myself, but this time it just made me really happy because I had figured out that I could learn to improve. I could physically get better. That entire day, I was fidgeting with my mouse over and over again, trying to recreate the texture, the feeling that he had done with my finger on the button, and I did it. I did it. I got so good at it, at drag clicking, that one day that I was able to hit 14 clicks in one drag. Do you realize how impressive that is? In one drag, I had gotten my average CPS butterfly clicking. Now, I'm still not that good at drag clicking because, sure, my mouse physically can drag click, but the texture is a little difficult, so it's easier with tape. But I don't really have tape. We don't have electrical tape. We've got duct tape, but duct tape doesn't really make it better. It actually physically makes it worse for me. So I've been trying to get better at actually drag clicking on my actual mouse button in-game and using that texture, that drag clicking motion in order to actually get it to register so many blocks, so many hits in Minecraft. But the major thing for me was that this barrier, this mental blockage that I had told myself, I had convinced myself existed, didn't, and I had beaten it. And I had done what I had thought was impossible. The only path that I can see from now on is upwards.